is Vanesa Lerma, and I'm currently leading the clinical research studies at the Chao Research Lab. Our clinical studies focus on investigating undiagnosed and newly diagnosed neurological disorders that have a known or suspected genetic cause, some of which include EBF3 related conditions like HADS, and others include 10q26 chromosomal conditions. I know some of you may not be as familiar with clinical research studies, so I'd like to provide you with a general overview of what a clinical research study is. A clinical study involves research using people who are volunteers, also called participants, that is intended to add to medical knowledge. So there's two types of clinical studies. There are clinical trials or intervention studies, and there's also observational studies. Today, I'm going to focus primarily on observational studies. So in an observational study, investigators assess health outcomes in groups of participants according to a research plan or a research protocol. And participants can receive procedures, but they're not assigned to specific interventions by the investigator, like in a clinical trial. So for example, investigators and research teams can observe a group of children to learn more about the effects of a genetic change on their brain development, or to learn if a genetic change may be responsible for an undiagnosed condition. So every clinical study is led by a principal investigator who's often a medical doctor, but clinical studies oftentimes also have a whole research team that includes other healthcare providers, scientists, and nurses. So clinical studies can take place in many locations like hospitals, universities, doctors' offices, and community clinics. The location really just depends on the research study and who is conducting the study. So the length of a clinical study really varies depending on what is being studied. Participants are told how long the study will last before they enroll, typically during informed consent or during screening procedures. In general, clinical studies are designed to add to medical knowledge related to the treatment, the diagnosis, and the prevention of diseases or conditions. Some common reasons for conducting clinical studies can include finding ways to prevent the initial development or recurrence of a disease or condition, examining methods for identifying a condition, evaluating one or more interventions aimed at identifying or diagnosing a particular disease, or exploring and measuring ways to improve the comfort and the quality of life through the improvement of therapeutic solutions. A clinical study is conducted according to a research plan known as the protocol. The protocol is designed to answer specific research questions and to safeguard the health of participants. And it contains the reasons for conducting the study, who can participate in the study, what information will be gathered about the participants, the schedules of tests and procedures, and the length of the study. Clinical studies have standards outlining who can participate. These standards are called eligibility criteria and are listed in the protocol. Some research studies seek participants who have the illness or conditions that will be studied, while other studies are looking for healthy participants, and some studies include both. The factors that allow someone to participate in a clinical study are called inclusion criteria, and the factors that disqualify someone from participating are called exclusion criteria. They're based on characteristics like age, gender, the type and stage of a disease, previous treatment history, and other medical conditions. Informed consent is a process used by researchers to provide potential and enrolled participants with information about a clinical study. This information helps people decide whether they want to enroll or continue to participate in the study. The informed consent process is intended to protect participants, and it should provide enough information for a person to understand the risks of, the potential benefits of, and the alternatives to the study. And in addition to the informed consent document, the process may involve recruitment materials, verbal instructions, question and answer sessions, and activities to measure participant understanding. In general, a person must sign an informed consent document before joining a study. Now, signing the document and providing consent is not a contract. Participants may withdraw from a study at any time, even if the study is not over. And in addition, each federally supported or conducted clinical study must be reviewed, approved, and monitored by an institutional review board. An IRB is made up of doctors, researchers, and members of the community, and its role is to make sure that the study is ethical and that the rights and the welfare of the participants are protected. This includes making sure that research risks are minimized and are reasonable in relation to any potential benefits, among other responsibilities. And the IRB also reviews the informed consent document. Typically, participants continue to see their usual healthcare provider while enrolled in a clinical study. Research teams cannot provide personalized medical advice, and medical advice and questions should always be directed to an individual's medical doctor. Participating in a clinical study contributes to medical knowledge. The results of these studies can make a difference in the care of future patients by providing information about the benefits and the risks of therapeutic, preventative, or diagnostic products or interventions. If you're interested in learning more about our clinical studies for HADS, EBF3 related conditions, or 10q26 chromosomal conditions, then please contact us at chao-lab@bcm.edu. Thank you so much for your support of our research efforts.